Running a Fever episode 109. We're interviewing Michael Zalewski, who lost 55 pounds on the keto diet. Mike, I noticed, I asked you about your weight because I noticed that you look so different. And, I found out you've been on a plan to do this for a while. How much weight have you lost?
Altogether, about 55 pounds.
That is amazing. And how long did it take?
Let's see. I started at the very end of June of this year and was really going hardcore and reached 55 pounds by September 28th.
Wow.
So it was about a 3 month.
Yeah, that's a lot to lose in a short period of time.
It is. It's more than I think is healthy to lose.
Yeah.
I was in a weight loss competition.
Yeah.
And as a result, I was really focused on losing as much weight as possible.
Right.
And I'd say the last probably 10 to 12 pounds of it was more water weight because it was the final weigh in, and I wanted to make sure I was going to weigh as low as I could.
Yeah.
And I was definitely somewhat dehydrated for that weigh in, and I knew that it was going to be. I knew that as soon as I'd start eating again regularly, I'd probably gain some weight back, and I did, but it wasn't fat, and I wasn't eating candy or anything like that.
Right.
Again, I was just eating protein,
food,
and
water.
Yeah.
Listeners will be that'll sound very familiar because that's part of my story too. And I understand that at least during the first part of this, you did this on the keto diet.
I did.
And this was mentioned, I had an interview with a nutritionist, Anastasia Strokova, in episode 90. And she mentioned it and just said she didn't recommend it because of the high fat content, which we'll, I'm sure, talk about. But could you just explain what the keto diet is and how it works?
Yeah, it's interesting. When I first started on the keto diet, or when I first heard of it, I was under the impression, it's just a high protein diet. But it's actually not about the protein, it's about the fat. And I've done, like Atkins before, where it was high protein, but I didn't really change anything. I just started eating a lot more protein, and I actually gained weight in the process. But in this case, with the keto diet, the keys were: one, increase your fat intake, and two, completely eliminate sugar. And the way that the two of those work, the chemical processes within your body cause you to burn through that fat and to use that fat for energy, where previously you were using sugar, which would get stored as fat and a lot of times never actually get used. So,
what about other carbohydrates that increase blood sugar? Do they not factor into this?
I cut all carbs. It wasn't just sugars. It was all carbs that you end up cutting. And I was trying to stay. Everybody has a different threshold for how many carbs you can eat and still stay in keto. And I found that mine was right around 30 carbs a day, 30 grams of carbs a day. So I would limit myself to one of the things that I cut was sugar in my coffee, and I really like sweetness in my coffee, so I went to agave instead, which the truth is agave has more grams of carbs per serving than sugar does, but it's twice as sweet as sugar. So I only needed half the amount, which the net ended up being less grams of carbs overall.
Okay. So instead of low carb, high protein, it was low carb, high fat.
Yes, it was low carb, high fat. Now, in effect, it was also high protein for me because the fats that I was getting were fats that came from proteins, and I didn't like the idea of just eating fats for the sake of eating fats. That made me uncomfortable. So.
Yeah. Doesn't sound like it would make anybody uncomfortable. Yeah. So, what has changed now? I understand. We've talked about how you're not on keto now, and you haven't. Have you reached your goal weight yet, or are you still trying to lose weight?
I still want to lose another 25 pounds. Okay. I'm wearing the size pants that I want to wear, which is I wear 36 waist. I'm 6'2", so that's a pretty good. That's the size that I wore when I was in high school.
Right.
Was a 36 waist, and of course, I'm 54 now, so I'm proportioned much differently.
Oh yeah.
But I feel like that's a good barometer for me to know how I want to look. And the weight kind of factors into that, of course, as well. So I'm wearing 36 waist, but it's a little bit snug. And I want to get to the point where 36 waist is really super loose and comfortable.
Right.
That's just the way that I feel most comfortable.
I've kind of noticed that part of your body is the last place that fat goes.
Isn't that the truth? Isn't that the truth? It is. It is. But you know what? I've reached a point now where when I'm losing weight, that's where it's coming off. So that's a good feeling.
Great. So, and are you looking for a target BMI or body fat number as well, or?
Not really. For work, we have to we do the wellness check every year, and we have to reach a certain BMI in order to not get charged a penalty.
Right.
And I reached it this year. I still want to lose more weight, so I know that next year I'll reach it. So it's not really based so much on BMI or on weight, to be honest with you. It's really on how I feel in my clothes and how I feel when I look at myself. In the mirror.
Sounds really healthy to me. I mean, because a lot of people talk about the BMI. There's a lot of things it doesn't take into account. And that's why in this program that we have at work, you can also use a waist measurement, which is maybe a better indication of your body fat and how healthy you are. But I think that's probably a better solution. I don't know what I would look like if I was in the range for BMI, but I know it's a 40-pound range, so it just can't be right.
No, I know that I still, according to the BMI measurement, I was still overweight. But I've always been overweight ever since I was in 6th grade, and even when I was in high school, I played football. In college, I played football, and I was in great condition then. Very little body fat, but way overweight for what the BMI said I was supposed to be. So
good. Sounds like you have a healthy sort of indicator for that. So you're still trying to lose weight. What has changed?
I am not eating sugar still. And I don't want it. That's what's really changed. Bread as well. The keto thing has kind of made me not be so carb heavy. All of my life, the majority of my calories and food was carbs. And now I try to avoid carbs because I feel like they're empty calories. I don't have as much meat as I used to have. Now my proteins are very, very lean. That's what's changed from keto to what I'm doing now. Now I'm doing very lean protein. I am having some carbs, but they're whole grains.
So higher glycemic index.
I guess that's right.
That's kind of what one of the things I'm trying to change about my diet too. Is because white bread is 1. And anything higher than that is going to be, it's going to take more work, like our bodies are designed to from, the old days, right? Millions of years, we still haven't changed this. Our bodies are not designed to have such easy access to energy. And that's what I'm trying to do too. I think it's great. So whole grains.
Whole grains, flaxseed, whole grain bread, if I have any bread. I have yogurt every day, but that's all the dairy that I have. I have lean protein, and it's lean protein only. I try to avoid the fatty things like ribs and junk like that. I have peanut butter, but I have natural peanut butter only, the natural one that comes with that you have to stir up to get the.
It's got the good fat in it.
Right. So I'm very careful about, and with my wife is a nurse, so when I had my wellness check and she saw my numbers, she said, okay. I was still on keto at that time, and she said, we're taking you off keto and we're putting you on Mediterranean diet. So that's really what the diet is now, is it's the Mediterranean diet.
Now, it sounds like you really kind of like this diet. Is this something that, what about the maintenance? Once you reach that ideal, waist size, which you're shooting for, what happens after that?
It's funny. With this time as I've lost weight, and I've lost weight at other times in my life, doing Weight Watchers or doing a diet. But this has been more of a lifestyle change for me.
Okay, so you've already changed. Already kind of made that change.
Yeah. I'm not going. I've always been a heavier person, so I'm very careful to say I'm never going to gain weight again, because I know it's kind of like being an alcoholic. Once you are an alcoholic, you're always an alcoholic, and you look at alcohol differently. Well, my addiction is food, and I have to. I make a very conscious effort to avoid certain things. Little Debbie Swiss cake rolls, for instance, those have been my nemesis forever. I don't eat them at all. I stay away from them completely, because I know that, number one, they're terrible for me. There's no nutritional value whatsoever. Number two, they're something that leads to that slippery slope that takes me in the wrong direction. So this is something I can do long term for the rest of my life. It's a way that I enjoy eating, provides me with a great deal of nutrition, and I've added regular exercise that I enjoy too. When I was an athlete, I did a lot of weightlifting and enjoyed it. But when I was no longer an athlete, I did not like weightlifting. But it got to a point where cardio only took me so far, and as you get older, you lose more muscle mass, and you've got to find a way to maintain it. So I've found a method of weightlifting that is very effective, but also that's enjoyable and not so stressful either. Like I said, my wife is a nurse, and she's always pointing me to different things that she reads and comes across, and that's been very helpful for me.
Okay, I want to talk more about that, but just back on the diet real quick. When you get to that maintenance diet part, then do you have a plan for how you're going to increase your energy intake to sort of get to where you need without losing weight? Yeah,
it's probably going to be a gradual increase of carbs, healthy carbs, and fat, healthy fat. But it's going to be closely monitored to see, I'm going to increase and have some bread maybe in the morning with my breakfast. I like to try and have my whole grains early in the day, just because then I have the whole day to burn them off. I still try not to have any junk food at all, and not to have any snacks in the evening after 6 or 7 o'clock, just because I feel like I'm dormant at that time, and I don't want to I don't think it's good for me, but I also notice that I don't feel as good if I eat that late in the evening, because it's like my body's working on digesting food when it should be sleeping. So that's what I'll do is increase my...
So you actually sleep better when you don't eat
for sure. Okay. Absolutely. Yeah.
Are you getting enough sleep? Is that part of your health plan?
It is, but as I've gotten older, it's harder for me to sleep. It's kind of funny. We have a house in Eagle Rock, Missouri, and it's in the middle of the country out there, and every time we go out there, I sleep great. Now, I don't know if it's because stress is gone. I think that's probably it more than anything. It's
gotta be quieter, right?
Oh, far quieter and less stressful, and I always sleep better there.
Great. So how often do you exercise, and what's your mix of sort of strength training and cardio and that sort of thing?
I exercise at least 3 times a week, going to the gym, and it's the Adult Wellness Center at Rogers, and there it's the first 30 minutes of my workout are on an exercise bike. I used to run, but I don't anymore because I have knee trouble, and I noticed that when I love to run, and I miss it tremendously because I did get that runner's high when I would run, but it does too much harm to my knees, and the long-term view is that I'm better off preserving my knees so that I'll be able to walk when I'm an old man. So the first 30 minutes are spent doing cardio on the exercise bike. The next 30 minutes I spend doing a weight circuit, and then when that's complete, I spend about 15 minutes just stretching. So it's about an hour and 15 minutes, 3 times a week, usually Monday, Wednesday, Friday. And in between that, if the weather's nice enough outside, I'll go for a walk, usually about a 30 to 40 minute walk.
Okay. And have you noticed your strength increasing over time?
Oh, definitely. Yeah. Especially with the weight training, it has increased quite a bit. And I've noticed, even though I'm older, I've noticed a change in my body as well. I'm getting stronger.
And what I've heard is, there's no reason you can't build muscle as you get older.
Yeah.
It goes away quicker, but as long as you stick with it, then,
yeah,
you can still do it.
Yeah, I can tell a difference, and it's something that I like. This setup that I've got with the 3 days a week at the gym is something that I really enjoy doing. I look forward to it. So it's something I should be able to stick with long term.
Where do you walk?
In my neighborhood.
Okay.
I live in Rogers, and I've got a nice area right behind my house that the full walk takes me about 40 minutes, and it ends up being about 2.5 miles. So,
you ever been up to Lake Atlanta?
I have, yeah, and that's a beautiful walk there too. I love walking around that.
Yeah, about in the main trails, about a 2 mile, I think.
Yeah, all around the lake, and then I like walking the
other
back
one.
up. Yeah, that way.
Done that. Yeah.
It's beautiful that way too.
I'll bet it is. Is there any other? I don't know if you have other areas of your life things that have changed that you want to talk about. One thing I wanted to ask you about is if you consulted any medical professionals about your health plan.
It's been my wife, because she's a nurse.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
And I haven't had to go to the doctors. I haven't had any issues at all over the course of the time that I've been doing this.
Okay.
I had my wellness check, of course, but that was very, they took a blood test, and my fats were higher than is good. You're
still in keto at that time?
Yeah, still in keto at that time, and I'm pretty sure that had a lot to do with it.
Yeah,
so,
no doubt.
I feel great. I feel great. Thanksgiving just passed.
That's right.
And
yeah.
I ate some foods that I wouldn't normally eat, but I was aware that I was eating those, and I was aware that I was doing something that I don't want to make a part of my regular life again. So, I enjoyed some sweets, enjoyed eating a few more carbs than I normally would, but now it's over and I'm ready to feel good again.
Yeah.
I feel better when I eat healthy. I know that.
Yeah. Well, as we record this, it's Monday, so I've just gotten back into the routine as well, and I already feel better. So, but that's great. That's great that you're aware of it and it's in your mind. You're getting right back into the groove of things. So any other areas of your life you want to talk about, or anything we haven't touched on?
Not really, Mike.
Okay. All right. Well, thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Really appreciate your sharing this with all the listeners.
I'm happy to do it.
Thanks a lot. Well, I hope you enjoyed our interview with Michael. That was very interesting. I hope you learned a lot from that. keep the fever. Until next time, I will see you then. This is the Padua Podcast Network. PaduaMedia.com.